Hello everybody, welcome back to EPIC44, brought to you by Intel and Asus ROG. We are back once again. I'm Shiva, joined this time by a new caster. Well, new caster for me at least. I don't know why I said
we've never casted
together.
together.
Yeah, we haven't casted together.
Yeah.
It's been a dream though. It's been a dream. We've wanted to do it for a while, so we didn't get to do so at EPIC43 last time. But now we're here. Quicks is with me. We are so back.
Yeah, we're so ready. We're so ready. Like you said, we've been talking about us to actually casting together for a while and getting to cast in, EPIC44's VAL tourney, which is sponsored by Asus Republica Gamers this time as well.
Damn straight.
It's even bigger than it was on EPIC43. So, we talked about it, and this match should hopefully be a bit of a banger.
We're hoping so, right? Because
hopefully.
The matchup we have at the moment, Fleece Troopers and Moode, they are teams that, although I think individually we look at the players based off the info that we have, it's pretty clear TFT have not only more history in this event, but also generally on paper stronger firepower.
Yeah.
However, Moode have a couple players that are a little bit of note and a bit of a fear factor for this team.
Yeah, because they mostly played CS on the side of Moode, except for one player who did actually take part in a couple Tier 2 tournaments here and there. Didn't get very far in them, but to even get into a Tier 2 tournament, you have to be pretty good. So, I have been told he is IGLing and coaching for their team.
Oh, wow.
So it's his calls that are being made. But we have players like Sky, who she's mostly a CS player, but she's like dabbled in Val here and there, but is good enough at CS that she has the mechanics to bring them over into Val. So I think she's been like top 2 in her team, like in every game they've played during Epic so far.
Yeah.
So got to keep an eye on her, really.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the common kind of issue that we're probably going to see from either team is that Fleece Troopers are they're going to be quite coordinated. I mean, Zaphis and Zeno, although they do have a fresh roster, Zaphis and Zeno are from the previous call that got 3rd place at 41, which is very important to note, all right? There are 2 players who are podium players of this event. They are very, very good players. And the rest of the players also are really good. It's Smile was a player who played for Wolfpack last Epic, who is a notable a player from a notable team that were really solid.
Well.
They did very good. So Smile is also a player to look out for. The other 2, though, a little more unfamiliar with. We don't know too much about them. So I'm curious how they're going to be implemented in. Last Epic, I think one notable player that was a player by the name of Lightning. Was a really deadly op player, especially on Jet and Raze.
I remember.
I'm sure his skill was probably raised off of the playstyle that his team has. So we're probably going to be seeing some aggressive executes from this team if I was to make a guess. Considering how aggressive and how strong on the up Lightning was when they were playing in 43, that's probably going to be one thing that I'm looking forward to with this team. They're also a very calm and collected team. I know Zaphis personally. He likes to kind of have the vibe of his team where they're just playing their game, they're just playing and they're chilling, and they'll celebrate their big victories, but they're a locking kind of team. Granted, I think this team that might be a bit more fun this event compared to last time, but still, we could see some magic later down the line. Maybe they change their minds depending on how they go up in this group. Yeah,
which is a very different vibe than what we've got from Moode, because Moode it's a group of friends at the end of the day. They've not really played much together. Sky and Miss Katie have been on the same CS team for a couple Epic lands now, but other than that, no one else in the 5 has ever played an Epic together. So it's going to be very much like they've been playing a lot recently. I've got them all added on Val. Every time I go on, you see them 5 stacking.
Yeah.
So they've been playing a lot, but they are lower rank and a little bit less experienced when it comes to LAN.
Yeah.
So it's probably not going to go their way completely, but also that might kind of give them the edge because they're going to be doing just random plays you wouldn't really expect to see.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
The thing that I'm excited about this Moode team is not only some of the individual mechanical prowess we're going to see, maybe some crazy shots and crazy gunfight wins, but on top of that, we're probably going to be seeing some very strange and very off-the-walls skirmishy executes. Where, contrary to TFT, where a lot of them are very experienced Val players, it's going to be a lot more calculated, it's going to be a lot more organized, and probably a bit more disciplined on whether or not they opt into that aggression, where Moode might throw a wrench in that work, considering what the kind of players that they're going to have on their lineup. But it also raises a weakness of Moodang's team, right?
It does.
How are they going to handle the response that TFT will throw?
Exactly. I mean, and they're going on Lotus, which it's always Lotus. I am cursed with Lotus. I never get to escape. I got one little break from Lotus where I went on the other 3-site map.
Oh, no.
But Lotus is such a util-heavy map, which for a team that mostly plays CS, the util is very different in Valorant. So we saw it earlier on a match of, I think it was Lotus again, where every round, the team who were like CS players would often back off of the site because they didn't want to deal with the util. But then they didn't know how to use their own util to effectively retake. So we kept throwing away rounds like that. So I'm hoping we don't see the same thing again.
Yeah, I mean, on top of that, Lotus, I think, although, I mean, the reason why it's been picked very often is one, it's been around for a very long time, so teams definitely know their strats. And on top of that, for players at least, they like this map. It's a fun map to play. You can be so unique with your playstyle. You can be passive and lurky with some of the crazy, weird angles you can have, or you can be balls off the wall aggressive. You can just bolt it to rubble or bolt it to mound and take huge control with those ultimate orbs on top of that. That's going to be a huge contestant point generally throughout the map. On top of that, you've got those really long angles, you've got those really close skirmishes. It can be anything, man. And this map is all over the place.
It's kind of like agreed upon that Lotus is the map which has the most creativity in it. Because every other map kind of falls to the same default few plays. But Lotus just has so many weird winding corridors and everything that you can come up with just random strats off the top of your head.
Yeah.
And oftentimes they'll end up working just because there's so many different random strats people have come up with. It's impossible sometimes as the defense to be able to like read these random attacks that people come up with.
Yeah, agreed.
And it's just, it gets a bit chaotic, but in the fun way, the kind of chaos that we want to see.
Yeah, there are a lot of airs of deception in this map as well. You mentioned the doors earlier, right? Yeah. That's probably one of the most complicated things that teams often try to learn with, where you use the doors to either fake or commit or plan rotations and try to fake out the other team, because, you know, that door makes a noise that everyone hears, right? Everyone knows when that door is being pushed. And, you know, if you find a way to out-mind game your team, out-predict your team, figure out their playstyle in order to know their response, that's a really big advantage. And so I don't know why the screen says Pearl. I believe the veto is Lotus, so we're just going to wait for that to switch up. But regardless, the comps definitely make sense for a Lotus team, at least on the side of Moode at the moment.
The only thing which I worry about slightly is if Tech Fleece Troopers decide to take the Tejo, then that's Killjoy just completely countered.
Yeah.
Because every piece of utility that she has can just be countered just like that. And the fact that TFT are going with the option of Vise gives me the impression that they might go for the Tejo.
Yeah, I mean, Vise and Tejo have been a duo that have been really well known, especially throughout the meta, very popular meta that's been in VCT recently, and in Tier 2 as well. Tejo has just been everywhere throughout, not only this tournament, but just loads of VALORANT esports, man.
Exactly.
He is such an absurdly versatile and powerful agent. I wouldn't say to a degree where it's like oppressively annoying as like Chamber or Astra. It's more like a lot of his util is so flexible and so useful, yet still a little overpowered. But it's just so valuable. It's like the equivalent of, I don't know, let's reference, for example, Fade's util, right?
Yeah.
Not overpowered, but on the right spot, so absurdly good that it's irreplaceable.
I feel like, although Tejo's util is often considered to be quite overpowered, it's very easy to mess it up.
Yeah.
It's very easy to use it in a way which has no impact at all. So it kind of balances it out, in my opinion, a little bit. But with the kind of players that we're seeing picking him, we're probably not really going to see them use it wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, you know, last Epic, it was quite frequent that Vise was a very rare pick.
Oh, yeah.
We did not expect her to get picked at all. First off, one, because she was very new, and second off, a lot of people just kind of counted her out. Didn't really have an eye for her utility. However, now that, first off, not only have people gotten more knowledge on her, but on top of that, Tejo's around, there's so much more synergy you can do with Vise, especially on Lotus. I feel like Vise Tejo is one of the go-to options nowadays. You had an established meta beforehand with a couple moments of flexibility previously. Now, you either run one of those metas, or you can just run this comp and mop the floor with everyone.
Part of what helps with it as well is people have realized how impactful being able to isolate someone off from their team actually is.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, to begin with, was like, a wall goes up, someone's stuck on their own, it doesn't really matter. But now they've realized that if you put two people on the same site, Vice and someone else, and then that one person gets isolated above themselves, that's a free pick. You immediately have numbers advantage. If you're on a pistol round, you immediately have just like stolen a rifle. Yeah. So then it's really good for like turning the tides instantly at the start of a round.
Yeah, and you know, you've talked about the wall so much. I think the Vines were were a very underrated skill set of Vice back in the day, right? People kind of just overlooked and be like, yeah, it's just a little nothing burger. But now, considering how wide the radius is of those vines and how versatile you can line them up and throw them, you can do very dangerous things with that. Force opponents out of horrible situations. For example, I mean, you could throw a Tejo missile, for example, blast a vine and force them to run away. That's one example you could do. You can do many things with Vice's vines. But probably another one of the biggest factors is her flash, which is just, I mean, it's so insanely versatile.
Yeah. Incredibly versatile, especially being able to put it through a wall as well. You don't necessarily even have to get onto site to flash for your team.
You can just put it down, leave. Simple.
Yeah, exactly.
Into the match now as we get this going. Tech Fleece Troopers against Haggis x Moode, or Moode for short. Already an aggressive push coming in here from Moode as they start to throw out a little bit of util, flush out a bit of damage, and clear out those close corners. That trial detected. Glaceon is in a bit of a troubled situation, but thankfully evades that aftershock for now. And Haggis and Moode seem to hesitate a little bit.
It's weird seeing how much that just slowed down. With how much util has already been committed, to slow down this much is going to kind of put you on a bit of a back foot.
Sungjin Woo taken down quickly, but it's a trade from the luck of slicings onto Miss Katie. And so, Moode go for the flank here. Shaq gets one on slicings. Are they aware of Xeno? They are. Sky finishes off with a headshot, and they are lurking down, running, in fact, not even lurking, running down through that A-long area. You can see the Vice of Tech Troopers running back, and Zaphis on the Tejo wants to try and contest himself! 3 kills for Zaphis! That might have just turned around the round here. Shaq at 18 HP as well, finished off by Glaceon. Savior rounds from Zaphis.
Oh my word. To be able to have such... Like, you could tell he was calm. He was not panicking at all, whilst getting peeked by 4 people.
He's too chill.
And still manages to take out 3 with pure just headshots. Just calm and collected. It's exactly what you expect from someone like Zaphis, though.
Too chill of a player he is, man.
So chilled out.
You know, he's a very calm player, formerly a Sentinel player. Very often played the Cypher and the Killjoy for his Tech Fleece Troopers team last time at EPIC. Now taking the role of one of the most powerful agents in the game right now, if not the most powerful agent in the game, to lead his team into a very sudden and strong comeback on that pistol round. Pistol rounds matter more than almost anything right now. You know, that momentum now suddenly shifted back in your favor as Sungjin Woo gets the kill onto Shaq with the Outlaw, and is wanting more here, but that dash is going to run out, and he is revealed with the Horn, but doesn't really care. He loses 1 bullet, but he wants to fight, but chooses to leave now that the util and spam of the guns is getting a bit too oppressive for him.
I mean, that is not the open which you want if you're on Moode. To be able to step out and just get taken out instantly. But also, I feel like it should have been expected.
Should have, yeah.
The Outlaw is so oppressive. Surely you should have thought to go B to begin with. I know that you're expecting the wall to be there, but there's ways to bait it out.
Yeah, I hard agree. I mean, B is one of those areas where you can't get oppressed by those long angles, and you can be very aggressive and off the walls with that push, right? Glaceon, unfortunately for Senetsu, not really able to make the most of the movement through the vines that we mentioned earlier. That value is really present, and Miss Katie is left cornered on her own with Classic in hand. Chooses to stay disciplined and stay in the smoke. That luck could be a bit of a fear point here for Tech Fleece Troopers as Zaphis makes that aggressive push, wants to shut down that flanking lurk, but it's not hitting the right shots. Miss Katie gets the kill on the 1v1 on the Classic now, and it's starting to be a 1v1. Miss Katie, Vandal in hand here against Xeno. 86 HP. One shot of the Outlaw could lead to the downfall. Turret is up. Miss Katie, an incredible kill on that Classic against Zaphis, the MVP of the previous round. And as the momentum slows down, it's up to her to bring the round back for her team. You know, the Outlaw.
Feels like the timing isn't on Miss Katie's side.
Oh, unlucky. Walked into the web of Xeno there with the Outlaw. She was so cautious. Took a little bit too much time to overthink that, and unfortunately lost what could have been a monumental turnaround.
And that's the kind of creativity which we were talking about earlier. The fact that he was able to walk all the way round, back through A to go through the breakable door. Like, that's why people like Lotus so much, because there is those options. Most other maps, he would have had to stay up in top site or go all the way through CT and go to B link.
Yeah.
But the fact that he could flank all the way around to a completely different site and completely reposition, it's so strong.
Yeah, there are not many topside sections where you can just rotate to another corner of the area, different floor, different elevation, and just oppress that angle. And he made the most of it, especially with that Outlaw. But with this aggressive take coming in here onto A now, flipping from B to A, there's some trades coming through. Xeno onto Shaq, Sunetsu onto Xeno. It is a back and forth. The special delivery does force one away of Kimoko. Look at both Slicings and Zaphis holding on to that 1-2 angle. The smoke, though, is going to block a little bit of vision, and Sky makes the most of that. Gets 2 with the Vandal, but can Glaceon get the flank right? A clean one-tap onto Kimono, and Senetsu is next on the line, but doesn't get hit. He is the one to deal the dealing blow.
And that round, if anything, proved how much of CS players that Moode are. The fact that every time we're spectating them, we see that they're going for crouch sprays and trying to go for recoil control and spray transfers, which, although it can work in Val, it's not really how you go about it. You're normally going for those taps and those bursts with some strafes. So that's kind of, I feel like it's what's holding them back when I'm on long-range fights.
Yeah.
But when they're all stacked up like that, it actually works so well in their favor.
Yeah, agreed. The skirmish ability, that ability to just kind of suddenly, spontaneously take these fights without any severe, train of thought. That's the brawly nature of CS, right?
Yeah.
Valorant is a lot more calculated, a lot more reliant on making the most of the utility that you have, whereas Counter-Strike, a lot more invasive, a lot more in your face. You've got to keep on fighting, keep on winning those fights. And it is starting to become a bit of a punishment here for... bit of a punishment there for Moode, but... the trade of util is thrown around. Woo gonna bump into Miss Katie very, very soon. We have damage dealt. Miss Katie does do the finishing job, even if she takes a little bit of damage. Chooses to back away. Zafiz is looking for a bit of a catch on here. Unfortunately, it's not there on time. A lot of damage through. You know, a bit of damage on the rubble. Too much damage from the nade, though. Not only being a contributor to Xeno's death, but also the death of Slicings. As it's back to a 2 versus 3 in favor of Moodang, and they're opting in for the rotation.
Moodang need to be really careful here because they've already lost 2 players, which is 2 rifles dropped. They're not really in a position where they want to be losing their economy right now because they are the lower seeded team. They are the weaker team stats-wise. They want to try and get that momentum so that they can win off of that rather than winning off of just pure raw skill.
Their armory is the biggest asset to them right now, right? And contrary to other teams like TFT, for example, you have that util that can make or break your team. A team like Moodang, who are so reliant on winning their fights and their skirmishes, they need those strong rifles. The more losses, the more difficult that's going to be. Even so, you know, you could maybe get a Sheriff, but Vandals and the Phantoms are so reliable, so consistent, and a lot easier to get those long-range kills without any pressure aligned, as Kimoko and Tsunetsu do finish the job onto the remaining 2 members of TFT, and then will in turn even out the playing field with a team ace and make it 2-2.
Which, to be fair, on the side of TFT, that is kind of the best outcome you can ask for when you're stuck on a pistol round, is to get those 2 picks. It's 2 less rifles, you're forcing the enemy team to break their economy a little bit. I mean, we're seeing here that they're having to already drop each other guns over on the side of Moodang. So that's just what you need to go to get your own momentum back. But now with an even scoreline and almost even economy, it's kind of anyone's game again.
Yeah. Look at this buy here. Moodang does have a little bit of money left in reserve, opting into rifles and full shields. A full build here for this team with TFT. Despite having a lot of full rifles, they are a little bit lower on the armor. And that, with the skirmishy nature of Moodang, might be a little bit of a scary point to worry about. However, momentum slowing down a little bit now. Drone might be the first point of contact. It doesn't get any reveals. However, it does catch 1, but that's 4 other members around 1 of the outside of C-Long and 3 more in that beast push. This could get really dicey soon.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes getting that one tiny shred of the information actually ends up being misinformation and actually makes it harder to know what to do. As you can see, they're still keeping 2 over on C and on A.
Oh, well played from TFT. Keeping themselves disciplined, not panicking too much on the reaction. Armageddon is out, forcing many into the hands of Jungwoo, into the crosshairs of the Jet of TFT. And that will be a huge 3K for him, a massive contributor to getting that lead in their favor.
Which, there's that difference again. We saw the fact that Moodang swung out of the door and went straight into the crouch sprays.
Yeah.
And instantly, because of that, the first shot accuracy wasn't there, which in Val is so much more important. But we did actually see that from Jinwoo, focusing on first shot accuracy, then resetting, first shot accuracy resetting. And that got him 3 kills in such rapid succession.
Yeah, I mean, the mechanical discipline that CS players need to have over time, you know, you would expect CS players who are capable enough to be in Valorant tournaments to have played the game for so long that muscle memory almost feels unlosable, you know what I mean? It's kept for so long. You have to really have a battle with your own mechanics and your own muscle memory to make the most of it and win the fights the right way Valorant players know how to do. And with this aggressive push coming in here from Moodang, they're keeping that skirmishy push alive here with the showstopper popped here from Shaq. Sungjin Woo is on the flank here. Miss Katie, seemingly aware, puts down the alarm bot. Look at Shaq. Look how much space he's taking here on this A site area. The rest of them are taking their time with the Steel Garden coming out. Shaq is now alone as the showstopper is shut down from Shaq onto Slicings. And Jim Woo's on the other side here with the flank with 3 other members here of Moodang. They're hesitating here. They're taking too much time to push up. And this is a big opportunity for him to punish, but it's not going to be too much as only 1 is the one he claims. But it's a 2 versus 2 now. Zap is now on the battle. A similar position to where he was in that pistol round with the heroic plays. Takes down Kimoko. And Sky, probably the most experienced member of this team, left on her own and can't do much with the crossfire they have.
I mean, when you're in that situation, there's not really a lot you can do. Still thought there was one on the flank as well. So you feel like you're pincered in. Even though you're not, there's no way to know that.
Yeah.
So you have to be constantly just worrying about that. And it does even mess with your aim. When you think that you're about to get flanked from behind, you're getting ready to flick round. So even then, like, your aim's a little bit shaky. The util that she had at her disposal, all she could do really was just definitely give away exactly where she was stood and exactly what she was thinking of doing. So she had to win off of pure just mechanics, which in a 1v2 with a crossfire, that's not going to go your way.
It's too difficult, really. And, you know, what can you really do with the Fade util that way? You can just have the one on the crossfire, just quickly hit it. You know, it's not going to be that crazy of a difference here. But now into the next round, economy is a little bit more in tatters here for TFT. They still have a decent amount of ability left here. Sunjin Woo, the back-to-back Outlaws here. First opening pick onto Miss Katie on C. And look at how much space Jinwoo is taking right now. Securing that and slicing onto Shaq. Doesn't make that an exception either. Rubble is in their hands, even if so many members of Moode are holding the line. They're so hesitant on getting this push, and TFT are punishing them to massive degrees here. It is a flawless from TFT.
That was just another example of the fact that pointing out that TFT are the Valorant players in this match because of the fact that they opted to buy 2 Outlaws when they could afford full rifles because they knew they were going against pistols and half armor. They knew for a fact that that meant they just had to land body shots, that it would make the round so much easier for them just to get that round differential building up. And it's something you don't really see often, a team opting to take Outlaws over full rifles and full armor just for the sake of getting easier kills, but it worked out in their favor. They now have an op and 3 rifles, still have the Outlaw because there's not really any point in just chucking it away. You may as well keep holding it.
It's good enough of a weapon to maintain in these buy rounds, right? But look at Sunjin Woo on this operator. Look at the separation here. Slicing's instantly 140k onto the entry frag of Moode. Sunjin Woo wanes out his dash. He wants more. He's eager.
You have to ask if it's maybe a little bit too eager. You don't really want to be dropping an op.
Yeah. Look how the momentum shifted. Now the aggression is in. Miss Katie gets the punish. Sunjin Woo trades that though, and Zaphis gets the kill on the Miss Katie, avenging his teammate. And that gives the advantage to take these Truthfuls, but still the operator in hand. So much space being oppressed, and now Jinwoo's forced to back off a little bit. That blindness could have led to a drastic multi-opponent peak, which thankfully isn't happening to him. But look at this aggression here. He is not scared of this team at all. And Sky might be able to punish, but doesn't get the lineup in time. As the spike is down, it is revealed to TFT, and now they can make the most of it. Look at the rotations instantly coming in here.
I mean, Jinwoo is definitely the strongest opper we've seen so far this tournament. I mean, he just never seems to miss and is so aggressive with that op as well, which a lot of people like to just sit back, but Jinwoo takes these aggressive angles. People don't expect it.
Spike down, attacker spawn.
Look at the pincer that TFT are forming right now. Shaq only on 10 HP, previously losing so much health from that single outlaw shot, is going to finally die. And it's just another really strong round. Reminiscent, honestly, unless Sunjin Woo is Lightning, and I just don't know, he reminds me of Lightning when he was so willing to just take these absurdly strong angles and confident enough to take the op shots. This is a similar style to one of the star duelists of this team previously.
Well, his name is really, really familiar. I feel like he might have played EPIC44.
He did play EPIC41. That's what I mean. He was the previous Jet player of EPIC41 who did the same thing as Jim was doing right now.
I mean Jinwoo. I think Jinwoo was in EPIC41 because I remember there was a big battle because there was 2 oppers who were just the best oppers that we had in that tournament.
Maybe it was between him and Lightning.
So he might have been there because he seems really familiar, and his playstyle with the op, it's not one which you can forget really.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lovable style when you're a spectator here, right?
It's exactly what
you
love
love people taking those gambits with such skill and finesse. As we get into the next round now, into this aggressive fight onto A, it is a full 5 vs 5 skirmish that TFT are triumphing on. However, Kimoko does want to change that. A clean wallbang one-tap on the head onto Zaphis here does slow down the momentum a little bit. TFT still have a numbers advantage. Sunjin Woo's pincering. This is a difficult situation here for Moode. And it looks like Sunetsu's very aware, gives that information away, and now they know it's a 3 vs 3, which means they might commit more to this fight. And look at this aggression coming out now. Zeno just running through like it's Call of Duty at this rate. He might get the 3K for himself, needs to reload, but out comes the shorty to finish the job. This is starting now to become very one-sided. TFT are figuring out these Counter-Strike veterans here.
They've noticed that if they just util spam, it's very difficult for CS players to be able to sit there and go, I know what's going on, let me counter it, because the util in CS is very different. It's just smokes, flashes, nades, mollies. That's it. And then obviously in Val you have, you got your TPs, you got your drones, you got your concussions, you got all of this different stuff which they have to think about on the spot, which is why they're struggling so much. And TFT have figured that out so quickly. But they're just capitalizing on it on every opportunity they can find.
That being said though, Moode are led by a Sarai, Gel and Sky, who, like you said, mentioned before, has participated in Tier 2 before, despite not maybe having the best results imaginable. Getting in Tier 2 in and of itself is a huge achievement and a sign of a really powerful player. Sky, opening pick. Unfortunately, being the early peek out instead of Shaq is not the first situation you really want here. And Moode lose their IGL along with one of their biggest initiators here, including the Nightfall. Not really available anymore. Shaq makes an attempt of more aggression here, but Glaceon just outshines even more. 3 kills for them. And it's just a demolition here from TFT. Both these angles are secure. Miss Katie is just a sitting duck as Jin Woo gets the final blow again.
There's nothing you can do when you're in a 1v2 anyway in such a difficult position. It's so difficult. But when you then peek out and it's Jin Woo stood there with an AWP, the weapon which is very clearly his
right on
favorite.
his cheek. Right on his cheek as he does it.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
wow.
there's not a lot you're doing against that. I mean, I feel like this same one op has basically been here since it was bought throughout the rest of the game. It's not been lost.
They are in fortunes right now, in absolute riches. So even if Moode start to get a little bit of momentum back, it's going to be a little while before they don't have to worry about that operator anymore. But seems like they're going into a BC split right now, and TFT have made the read. Look at this hold. No members on A. They've figured them out completely here. Jin Woo, operator, still as aggressive as ever. Gets an ambitious pick there onto Katie as Slicing's on the Odin, gets the spam. That kick takes 2 lives as it's only the breach of Moode on his own. Sunetsu with the classic. Falls once again. At this point, Tech Fleece Troopers are playing with their food.
Yeah, I mean, TFT have definitely completely figured out how Moode play attack. The only chance really that I feel like Moode have here is to just keep the mental there and just wait until the second half and just mix things up completely.
Yeah.
Stop going for this skirmish approach because it was working to begin with, but TFT know that that's what they want now. And just try force themselves into a more Valorant kind of playstyle and try hold back a little bit and go for these taps and go for these, just get one pick at a time. Don't try to just full team fight.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of the only chance they really have at this point to try and bring back some rounds.
Yeah, unfortunately, the understanding of utility combinations and utility usage is so out of the depth. I mean, look at this. Multiple Odins popped in from TFT. They are messing around. So dominant, they're having fun now. And with the Blade Storm activated here from Sung Jin Woo, we're going to be seeing a lot more aggression. Look at this flank here from C. Unfortunately, not able to land the shots just yet. Oh, that flank flicks so close to landing. But Shaq just gets to pick on the slicing. Zaphis, though, gets the trade. Jin Woo gets to pick on the Sky. And it's Kimoko on his own. At this rate, it's a matter of time. It is a 10-2 half in favor of Tech Fleece Troopers.
That is a painful half. Especially when the only 2 rounds that you won were round 3 and 4. You then just spent the rest of the half, 8 rounds, just getting rolled on and rolled on. It's going to be hard to keep that mental there.
Yeah.
But like I was saying earlier, as long as they just stay calm and collected, they do have a chance to do something on defense. Maybe not necessarily bring the game back, but at least bring back some rounds.
Yeah, I mean, the question is, how are they going to be able to counter this Taeho Vice combination, right? You have, like you mentioned, the Killjoy on Miss Katie. Granted, on paper, a very good agent, probably one of the most iconic agents for this map. But against Taeho specifically, you have so much util, just useless now. It is useless. You just pop one missile and that's it. You're out.
The second Taeho knows where the util is being placed, it's now completely countered. So Miss Katie's going to have to switch up the setup almost every single round.
Yeah. And that's going to put so much mental pressure on this Moode team. And it's so much fear and anticipation of what goes down. Early skirmish does go in favor of Moode, however, catching out the luck from Glaceon. Jin Woo gets an instant trade onto the Sentinel of Moode, and in turn, they've got the site all to themselves. Nancy, though, wants to try and pounce on these aggressive pushes, but not really making any success out of it, as they're still keeping that space. The 2 duelists of TFT are not really letting go until finally deciding to go for a full coordinated push through this water area. This is so synergized here from TFT, and now they know where Sky is. It's just another dead shark in the water. I don't know what else to say here.
It was just triple peek after triple peek.
Yeah.
I mean, when you peek into 3 members of TFT all holding you,
you lose.
You lose.
Yeah.
If you peek into 3 people holding you anywhere, you lose. Let alone when it's these guys.
Wow.
I mean, buying up to the rifles as well, just to try and close things out as quick as you can on the side of TFT here. I mean, double Odin. At this point,
is just comedic.
At this point, you're just having a bit of fun. You just want a bit of fun. You've got 9-round lead. It does not matter if you mess up because you can bring that back still. You have so much time.
Yeah, I don't know really what else to say to this. I mean, no ultimates yet on TFT, but I can imagine they're not going to be too far away from that. As the Odin spam tries to lock out one of the...
It's interesting to see, though, that Moode didn't force. Moode stayed on pistols.
That's usually a bit taboo.
When it's this big of a round differential, you force up. You get some stingers, you get a bucky. You just have something to do some damage.
You just need to do something different, you know what I mean? I mean, look at this. They're still stuck. They're terrified of this util. It is the same situation as all of the other Counter-Strike-based teams that are playing in this tournament. They cannot play around this utility. Force that TFT are throwing, for example, it is just an absolute massacre here. What on earth do you do?
The peak from drop.
That's
to
so
satchel
funny,
up
man.
and just spray with an Odin while mid-air. It's just, that's how you know what level this match has got to. But
oh,
a rifle by full armor, you know, there is chance for Moode to at least bring back another round or two.
hopefully, right? You have to pray at this rate.
It looks like we're getting a very aggressive push from Moode. We have 4 stacked up on B main.
Oh.
This could be the outlandish random play we were talking about.
I'm praying that it is. It doesn't seem like TFT have anybody that are willingly holding onto that anchor. This seems like a full rush down onto C. Aware of Miss Katie's presence. Stun does come out, doesn't find anybody. With that information given away, Miss Katie is just on her own, surrounded by so many members of TFT and taken down very swiftly. And this flank here from Moode is just too little too late. What really can you do? The door is there, there's no info, the smoke is there to cover it up. They've smoked their own area. This is the smoke of their own. They've screwed themselves over through this smoke. And they can't make the most of the door play that they're trying to do. And with the flank from Glaceon coming in too, she's killing one with a classic for crying out loud. What do you do here?
In 1 versus 4, there's not really a lot you can do. Just
do you believe in magic?
Clip, surely.
Do you believe in magic here? Can you get one at least? No, only one on Jungwoo, and after that, it's curtains for Moode. A absurdly one-sided win from TFT.
I think that's the biggest roll we've had all day.
Outside of the early one earlier, 13-1 previously.
That at least took longer.
Okay, right,
The rounds lasted a lot longer, but I think it's also because the team just had slower play styles.
Yeah.
Whereas we just watched 2 teams who, their first thought every round is, I'm going to push, regardless of if they're on defense or attack, they just went for it.
This match was just savagery.
Yeah.
Absolute savagery. And I'm telling you, TFT, granted, they are a very, very strong team, but the seed numbers made us think maybe there was some hope, right? Because Moode have some really good players, most notably Shaq and Sky. Those are the 2 ones that you look at and you think, okay, with these players, especially with one of them being the leader and coach, you could see something come out. But unfortunately, the team collectively showed so much inability to deal with the utility, right? Especially with a team from TFT, so much experience on Val, so much tenure in this tournament particularly, and especially from the aggression. Once they knew they were comfy, once they had that confidence, they were just mopping the floor. Look at this, from someone Jungwoo in particular. I mean, arguably, many players from this team were stars of the show, but Jungwoo was the one that I think I had the most fun watching.
Definitely.
He was just running around, slaying like he was from a slasher movie.
He has to be the MVP of this game.
Yeah.
Like, if anyone was to ask me who the MVP of his best one is, it's Jungwoo. I don't even have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's an instant answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what else can you ask for a match like this, right? I mean, it's... I hoped for more, but from TFT, this is a really good sign. This team, granted, I know we had a lot of questions because we were thinking, granted, they are a great team, but are they good enough to get out of groups against some of the very good teams in this tournament?
Because I think this is now only their 2nd win for the day.
Yeah.
So we were looking at the history for today and seeing it as a bit of a red flag for them. But, you know, they did actually manage to just pull out a complete stomp like that. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering exactly how that's going to convert. I mean, this is a very good confidence sign for this team. You saw a lot of individual players. I mean, granted, regardless of who the team was, they did some very crazy plays. Jungwoo's aggression, Zaphis on that pistol round, showing that composure. That was an absurdly good play on the first pistol round.
That was that was a really good sign so early on. And as soon as we saw that, we kind of knew what match we were kind of like, going to be going into there.
Yeah, and it unfortunately doesn't really help for Moode that the Taeho Vice combo of that comp just hard counters the play around the Killjoy, and they just oppressed Katie throughout the entire match. They just knew that she was alone on C, and they just rushed in every single time. They weren't being variated in their styles. Katie was in C almost every round.
They just rinsed and repeated the same strats over and over again, and when they got almost no result from any of the times which they did that. They only won 2 rounds on defense, which is when they just decided to be aggressive. Yeah. So, I mean, it just wasn't really the way to go. They should have mixed things up, just moved things around. But I guess when you're not comfortable with the util or the agents or even the game itself, it's hard to think of those strats on the fly.
Yeah, of course. Like it's a complex game. It's very complicated, right? And TFT, clearly the team that managed to capitalize off of this the most. And with that, they still have their running groups of potentially even making it out into the bracket stage where they play their best of 3s. We'll have to wait and see, though. We're going to go into a 20-minute break, and we'll see you guys very, very soon for another match in the group stage.